Hey man, let's have an honest talk here. Not about what she says on the surface, but about what she really wants. You see, when it comes to attraction, women rarely lay it all out for you directly. They don't just come out and tell you what they're feeling or what they need. Instead, they send signals, they test, they drop hints, and if you're not paying close attention, or if you don't know how to interpret those subtle cues, you'll end up being played. What's even worse though, is when you start chasing after a woman who never actually wanted anything from you other than your attention. Not your presence, not your time, not your heart. This is where so many guys mess up. They see the signs, she flirts a little, maybe gives you a compliment, likes your posts, watches your stories, and sometimes she even texts first. You start thinking to yourself, okay, she's into me, she's giving me all these signs, it's time to go all in. So what do? You start texting her more, calling her more, planning your entire day around her and her needs. You start putting her at the center of your world, thinking that if you just give a little more, she'll finally make a move or show you that she feels the same way. But here's the problem. Without even realizing it, you've shifted from being the prize to being just one of her options. You've shifted from being the guy she's supposed to work to keep, to being the one she now gets to decide whether she even wants to keep around. The issue isn't that you've been too nice or too available, it's that you've stopped being the man she's drawn to and instead become the man she feels she can control. But here's the thing, you need to truly understand. There's a massive difference between a woman who's genuinely interested and one who's just playing the game. The reality is, not all women are looking for a relationship, and some might not even want one with you specifically. What they're after is something much simpler. They want your validation, they want to feel special, they want the comfort of knowing that you're there, available, and willing to give them attention whenever they feel like it, even if they're not emotionally ready to commit. So, they drop signs, false green lights that make you think she's interested in you, that she wants you to chase her. But in truth, those signals are just a test, a way to keep you hooked without actually letting you in. One day, she'll be all over you, acting hot and into you. The next day, she's cold, distant, and hard to reach. She'll like all your posts, interact with your social media, but when you text her directly, she goes radio silent. She'll casually drop lines like, "We should hang out sometime," but never actually makes any effort to follow through on it. She'll say she's confused, that she needs time to figure things out, that she doesn't know what she wants right now, but she keeps you around anyway. Keeps you in that grey area where you're not sure if you're moving forward or stuck in a holding pattern, but the door to her emotions is always slightly cracked open, just enough to keep you hanging on. And the worst part? You'll start to think that these mixed signals mean she's testing you, that you need to try harder, to be more patient, to give her more time and attention until she finally makes up her mind. But the truth is, she's not testing your patience. She's testing your willingness to play the game. She wants to know how far you'll go, how much you'll invest, all while she keeps her options open. Why does she do this? Because she wants you to be the one chasing. She wants the thrill of being desired, of knowing that someone is willing to put in effort for her, without having to offer anything real in return. She craves the emotional boost that comes from being pursued, but she doesn't necessarily want the responsibility of commitment, and that's exactly why you need to stop chasing her. The moment you start chasing, you shift the dynamic. You validate her control. You show her, maybe not through your words, but through your actions, that she holds the power in the situation, and whether she's conscious of it or not, that imbalance kills attraction. It chips away at her respect for you. Because no matter how modern or independent someone is, attraction still works on a basic level. People don't respect what they can control. Here's the hard truth. Women aren't truly drawn to the guy who chases them relentlessly. They're drawn to the guy who chooses them. The guy who stands firm in his identity, who knows his value and won't compromise it just for a shot at attention or affection. The guy who can look at a situation and say, "This isn't aligned with my standards and I'm willing to walk away." That's rare. That's powerful. Quick break. Close your eyes for a second. Picture her, the girl you've always wanted. Feel what it would be like to actually have her. Now open your eyes, because here's the truth. Right now, you're invisible to her. You're getting outcompeted by guys with more money, better looks, higher status, and stronger game. You're playing a rigged game, and you're losing, but I've spent the last 35 years mastering this, studying, testing, and finally finding the secrets to get the girls I always wanted. You want to stop getting ignored? You want her chasing you? Then you need to wake up and act. Click the link in the comments if you are truly committed and take the first step toward becoming that guy. Few spots left. Be fast or miss out your last chance to make her yours. Let's get back to it. When she watches your stories, sends you a flirty late-night text, playfully teases you, or leaves you a cryptic compliment, it's not always an invitation to pursue. In fact, more often than not, it's a test. She wants to see how you'll react. Will you drop everything for her? Will you chase the breadcrumbs, thinking they'll lead to something meaningful? Or will you stay grounded, recognize the game for what it is, and refuse to play along? Because that's the kind of man who stands out. The one who doesn't flinch when offered half interest. The one who doesn't give up his self-respect for a glimpse of someone else's attention. She's testing you. Make no mistake about that. She wants to see if you'll fold under pressure, if you'll abandon your confidence, your composure, and your self-worth the moment she tosses a little attention your way. It's not about what she says, it's about what you do when you're given just enough hope to keep you interested. Will you suddenly start chasing her, overextending yourself, and putting her on a pedestal the second she smiles at you or flirts a little? The man who passes that test, he doesn't flinch. He doesn't rush in. He doesn't start dancing just because she's playing music. He stays grounded, still, calm. He sees the game, and instead of reacting emotionally, he silently steps back and says with his energy, "I know what this is, and I'm not playing." And that's when everything shifts. Because when you don't chase her, you instantly separate yourself from the rest. You stand out, not just because you're different, but because you're in control. You become unpredictable. You become the man who's not seeking her validation, not clinging to her approval, not hanging on every text or signal like it's a lifeline. And that emotional independence, that unwavering sense of self is what truly pulls her in. That's when she starts asking herself questions. Why isn't he chasing me? Why isn't he reacting like the others? Why does he seem so steady, so focused, so unbothered by my push-pull energy? That curiosity, born from your refusal to play her game, is what begins to stir genuine attraction. Not because you manipulated her, but because you showed her you're not desperate for her attention. You're centered, you're disciplined, and that kind of self-control, that's magnetic. So if you're noticing those patterns, she's warm one moment and distant the next, flirty in her words but absent in her actions, engaging just enough to keep you hooked, but never enough to truly build. Don't fall for the illusion. Don't mistake her breadcrumbs for a pathway. Every smile, every compliment, every story reaction, those aren't necessarily signs of real interest. They can just as easily be signs that you're being kept around for entertainment, for ego strokes, for emotional convenience. You have to pause and ask yourself the hard questions. Is she actually investing in me? Is she showing consistent effort? Is she showing up with clarity and intention? Or is she simply enjoying the attention I give her without giving anything meaningful back? Because there's a world of difference between someone who wants you and someone who wants what you give them. The man who wins in these situations is the one who sees through the noise, the one who doesn't let desire cloud his judgment, the one who recognizes emotional inconsistency for what it is, a warning, not a challenge. Never forget, chasing is a desperate energy. It screams, "I'm trying to prove my worth to you," but a high-value man doesn't operate from that place. He doesn't chase, he attracts. He leads with presence, he sets the standard, he moves with clarity, and if she can't meet him at that level, he doesn't beg, he doesn't bend, he simply backs away. No drama, no resentment, no fear of missing out, because he knows something crucial. His value isn't determined by someone else's attention, and his worth isn't negotiable. And it's that certainty, that quiet strength that makes him unforgettable, not just to women, but to everyone he encounters. So the next time you catch those subtle signs, those flirty texts that lead nowhere, those maybe hangout plans, those little breadcrumbs of interest, pause. Don't react, don't spiral into overthinking or chasing. Just observe. Hold your emotional ground and let her reveal her intentions. Let her show you, through consistent effort and action, whether she's genuinely serious or just playing the game. Don't try to decode every mixed message. Trust the pattern. If it's hot and cold, it's not real. If it's inconsistent, it's not serious. And if you come to the conclusion that she's just toying with your energy, walk away. Not bitterly, not with a grudge, but with calm, quiet confidence. Walk away like a king who knows what he brings to the table, because you're not here to chase. You're not here to be an option. You're not here to audition for someone's attention. You're here to be chosen, but only by someone who's worthy of choosing you in return. Own that energy. Live in that truth. And the moment you do, the whole dynamic changes, not just in dating, but in every area of your life. You stop reacting. You start attracting. You move with purpose. You act with self-respect. And that, my friend, is the energy that not only changes the game, but makes you impossible to forget.